Today I'm reviewing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So basically, as a bit of a history, I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars. I've watched all the movies at least once, a bit more for some. I like it fine. I think it's a very pleasant license. So if you're a huge fan of Star Wars, you shouldn't bother too much with my review. You probably already bought the game. If you, like me, don't care about Star Wars or you just like it fine like me, maybe my review will interest you for that. I was very surprised by the previous one, Star Wars Fallen Order. I bought it because the reviews were very good and I thought, hey, it's been ages I haven't played a Star Wars thing, so I thought might be good. Plus I like the actor, I think he's a very good actor, so I bought the game. And Fallen Order was a very good game. Can't remember what I gave it, but it was like a 7-8ish out of 10. Very good action game, action adventure, so I was super happy with it. It was very pleasant, like a good Star Wars movie that you play yourself. So I thought, hey, I should do the sequel. My review of this sequel will be more nuanced because I think this game is very different from the first one. Let's first talk about the video. So video-wise, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I think I'm going to call it Jedi Survivor. Video-wise, the game is very pretty, but it fluctuates a lot. The environments of Jedi Survivor are amazing. When you go on a planet, it's beautiful. Not the level design per se, but the level art. Fantastic. Beautiful scenery, beautiful landscapes, nature, fauna, everything is wow. Costumes, everything, you know, it feels Star Wars. It feels like an epic sci-fi opera, galactic adventure. It's really out there in terms of art. It's great. However, this is nuanced a lot by the technicality of it. Jedi Survivor is a AAA game. It came out a few years ago already, and yet it doesn't feel like it's been patched because there's lots of glitches. You can not really see it right here with my poncho and my cape, but lots of things glitch, lots of clipping, lots of elements moving like this, polygons. It's very glitchy. I was surprised. Look at that. The environment is beautiful. A typical sci-fi space station. It looks awesome. But there's many things that feel very glitchy, very inappropriate for a AAA game with such a huge budget. But look at that. Doesn't it look like I'm floating on the ground right now? My little droid and myself, we are like floating. Do you see? We're not really walking on it. There's many things like that video-wise are not fit for a AAA game. The physics and all that are sometimes problematic. When you die, the death animation is a bit ridiculous. The actor ends up like this, like a rag doll. It feels clunky and it's not great, I'll be honest. Sometimes it ranges from a 4 or 5 out of 10 in terms of pure craft to an 8, 9 out of 10 in terms of look at that environment. You're like, wow, this is beautiful. So as an average, it goes a bit down just because of that. Still, very enjoyable, very pleasant, very good looking. Audio-wise, Jedi Survivor audio-wise is okay. The whole orchestral soundtrack in the background is, as usual, useless, boring, generic. I don't care. I don't care about that kind of orchestral music in video games. I don't care about it in movies, and they imported it into video games. I don't care for it. However, there is also some nice tracks taken from electronic artists that you can listen to in a jukebox. These are awesome. These are really cool. But once again, it's not linked to Star Wars itself. And also there's some tracks from the Mongolian band called The Who, metal band. Awesome tracks. The voiceover is really good. I think the voiceover in this game is really good, notably because the hero Cal Kestis is dubbed by that actor and he's really good at it, and most actors did a very good job in the voiceover. Once again, good stuff, boring stuff on average. It's okay, it's fine, it's pleasant audio-wise. Gameplay. Now that's a tough one because once again, there's gonna be some good and some bad. Gameplay-wise, they kept the core of the gameplay from the previous one, Fallen Order. Action game, adventure. You see my guy moving and running. You move your guy, third person. You use your lightsaber, you jump, platform sequences, you talk to people, you open chests and all that. It's that as a basic, as a core. The problem is, as you can see here, grapple, Batman style. The fight is more reminiscent of a Dark Souls or God of War. Very heavy. The platforming sequence, jumping, double jump, dashing mid-air, is very reminiscent of more platform-oriented games such as Hollow Knight or even Celeste. You upgrade your guy, there's lots of upgrades to do, some perks to do, a bit reminiscent of The Witcher also. The problem with the gameplay in this game, the guys had so many ideas, there were probably 100 people doing meetings in there, and I wanted to add that, I want to add this, they were all playing all sorts of games at the time and they put all the mechanisms in this game. That's not a bad idea, the problem is that it's too much, and I think Jedi Survivor suffers from too many ideas. They wanted to put so much in that game that it suffers a lot. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's not bad. It just doesn't fit because it doesn't know what it wants to do mainly as a core mechanism. It tries to be too much, too many things at the same time. Gameplay-wise, I was actually happy from time to time and very disappointed or frustrated because it's asking me so many things that I don't know what I'm playing anymore. The difficulty of this game is high. I know of some people who had to lower the difficulty to easy mode just because they thought it was too hard. I struggled for some bosses. The frog, I'm not gonna spoil the game, but the frog boss with its tongue took me something like 20-30 tries. It was so harsh. And in that, it's not very AAA action adventure game. It's more of a Dark Souls wannabe game. The problem is, I don't think the boss design, the enemy design is as good and as crafted as in From Software games. That was disappointing. The level design is also very ambiguous. It ranges from very cool environment and platforming sequence, and it's very mazy, to poorly inspired level design, poorly inspired corridors, sometimes very straightforward, and you climb on a surface and you're like, where do I go next? And you have no idea where to go. You try a few jumps and you die. You die and like, what, why, where am I supposed to go? And then you move your camera up and you realize, oh, that surface on the ceiling is climbable. I didn't know that. There's no yellow paint or anything like in usual AAA games, which is fine. And at the same time, you're like, where am I supposed to go? You should give me a clue, or you should make the level design smarter so that I kind of understand where I'm supposed to go. The game plays with a controller, plays very well. It's fine. Gameplay wise, there's some great stuff and some very poor stuff once again. And I think that's going to be the main thread of my review for Jedi Survivor. Instead of being a decent game overall, there's some very good stuff and some very bad stuff, and that's why it's nuanced. Let's talk about the content now. The story was actually deeper. They wanted to do something much more complex and thought than the first one. Which is fair, which is very respectable. The problem is, I don't think they managed well, once again. I'm not going to spoil the story, but the story of Jedi Survivor, I mean, if you just look at the cover of the game, it's the hero with with fire behind him and all that. It is very dark, much darker and broody than the previous one. They wanted to do something less conventional, and at the same time, it was not dreamy at all. It was, so heavy. Like, if you don't want a sad story, if you don't want something that is dark and everybody dies, don't play this game. Lots of people die, it's very dark, the hero is always sad and broody. It's wow, that second opus is really sad compared to the first one. The world is very pleasant. I was honestly expecting more variety, but once again, if you look at the map, there's like 4 or 5 levels in the game. This is one of them, and I think it's not enough. But basically, compared to the first one, they tried doing something a bit different in the sense that you've got like 4 different little levels, and you've got a huge one which is like the main hub of the game. It's a huge planet, and they wanted to make it look like an open world kind of thing because it's huge, but it's mostly corridors. Content-wise, very immersive, and at the same time, very frustrating once again. Some highs and some lows. And the story there's some quite huge plot twists in the story, so there's that. If you still want to play Jedi Survivor like the previous one with the idea that you will play an interactive movie, go for it. I think it's still very pleasant. I think it's still one of the best Star Wars games in recent years, so there you go. And finally, I'll finish with the other price. I would say buy this game on sale because I think it's not worse than the first one, but definitely not better. It's different, it's more problematic, the scope of it is much bigger, and at the same time it suffers from more flaws than the first one. So I would say buy on sale. The length is fine. I would say it's about the same as the first one. The problem is it's a fake length. I mean that you can finish the game in something like 20 hours maybe, but the game tries to show you've got so many secrets here and there. Secret corridor. They try to do it a bit like a Metroidvania, where like these few corridors you cannot do it right now, but if you come back later, once you've got the special power that opens these doors, you could come back and you're like, oh cool. But once you come back, and that's the major flaw of this game, in my opinion, once you come back and you open these doors, guess what's behind? A chest with a mustache in it. A chest with a poncho in it. A chest with a new haircut. A mullet. And you're like, why did I bother coming back? I love exploring games. I love exploring the secrets and evolving in the level design and all that. But at the end of the day, all I got was cosmetics. And that's probably the biggest slap that you can receive while playing Jedi Survivor. I finished Jedi Survivor and all I got was this stupid t-shirt kind of bad joke. And I think this is really, really sad. I guess most people are used to that with AAA games or with electronic arts games. I'm not used to that and I never will, and I don't like that. Don't give me cosmetics as an incentive for a game. Give me cosmetics as a free bonus or addition, like an optional thing, like if I want. But don't give that to me as an incentive to explore the game, because basically if you don't explore that, you don't get cosmetics, and that's all. So you could just rush through the game, take 15 hours, finish the game, and that's it. That's very sad. And if you start exploring everything, you'll be disappointed unless you care about cosmetics. As a disclaimer, do you need to play Fallen Order before playing Jedi Survivor? I almost feel like yes, because I don't think you play this game just for the mechanisms. I think you play this game also because you care about the story, about Star Wars, about the characters in it. And if that's the case, I think you need to play Fallen Order just to understand where all the characters come from. I don't think I would have enjoyed Jedi Survivor much if I hadn't played Fallen Order before. If you've never played the first one, go for the first one first, and that's it. Final rating for this game. Overall, it was a very pleasant game, despite all the flaws. My final rating should be influenced by that. I'm hesitating between a B- and a B. Like a 70, it's a 70, it doesn't go higher, it doesn't go 80 something. I'm sorry, but I can't give it an 80 something. And in that sense, I think it will be lower than the first one. I think the first one was 80-ish%. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 77%, because I think 77% feels a bit, it feels not quite right. A 77 is a weird number. You don't feel satisfied with that number, at least in my opinion. And that's exactly what I will give to Jedi Survivor. 77%, cool game. If you have time, give it a chance. If you have time, and also if you have any interest in a game like that, in Star Wars and all that. As a non-Star Wars fan, I will give it a 77%. It's a B. It's below 80% only because of all the flaws that I mentioned. Could have been a great game. It could have been so much better than the first one. It could have been amazing because of everything they tried, but it failed a bit on all its parts because of all these little flaws I mentioned. So there you go. B, 77% for Jedi Survivor.